Hey guys, Moss here, and welcome back to the second episode of our Factions Let's Play. We left off last episode here at Minister Show's estate, and we're going to be going through this mission, probably the next one, as well as upgrading some of our gear today, and kind of talking about where I think this series is going to go in the future. So I'm super excited for today. I will start off by going through my chest here because I've found some extra daggers on one of my other characters, which I think should be useful for this newer character, as they're a low requirement, which actually allows me to utilize the full damage of the daggers with only a low dagger attribute, as I only have access to probably maximum 6 dagger mastery points at the moment, because being such a low level you don't have too much to spare in regards to that. So I actually got these daggers quite a while ago, farming feathers on the same island here, but on a different account. I think here in this area on the map, it's actually like one of the two. It's actually quite a popular feather farming spot for either in hard mode or normal mode. And you do get a few interesting drops along the way. So I got these bad boys. Being 5 dagger mastery, I can get the full damage out of them. Even though it's not full damage, it's still pretty useful. And I also managed to get a zealous tang and put them on that one, so now I'll be getting energy regain on each hit that I do, so that is something that's very useful for me at this point in the game, because I only have a small amount of energy, and the more the merrier really on that behalf. Now I will be using probably the same henchman I went with last time, the Guardian, Shock and Healer henchman, just because they're pretty solid at this point in the game, and should do me pretty well at this time. Now, let's get into this mission. From memory, not the most difficult, but can be some issues ahead if you don't do the mission too well. Yeah, those new daggers are looking nice. Faster. For example, you can actually pull these mobs that are in like a area that's a bit too far away. You can't damage them, of course, because it's a wall and you can't hit through it. But your team can start working on killing them just as you wait for the next area to be unlocked, which is actually pretty sick. And yeah, as the tutorial says here, if you hold control and attack an enemy, it will prompt your team to target them. Gives you this little T next to your name in the party log there. And also, if you change your hotkeys, spacebar can be used to attack the enemy as well. So I actually just hold control and press spacebar, and it attacks right for me. This mission and the next few ones coming up aren't too difficult, but they can be. I can see how they'd be challenging for people who never played before, and there's definitely ways that you can do them a little bit faster, a little bit more efficiently, just to get you through your first few moments in the campaign more quickly and easily. Now this mission prompts you to try and follow this lost boy, as the guard that actually let us in was looking for his son, which is this lost boy there. And yeah, so the whole aim of the mission is to continue through this estate, trying to rescue this lost boy, and you do actually come across some of the main enemies in the entire expansion from this point onwards, being the Afflicted, as you'll see ahead. And it's a nice introduction to see the enemy that you'll be fighting for the rest of the campaign. So we've got a few extra NPCs here that we should just be able to work through pretty easily. They actually are doing a fair bit of damage to me, which is more than I expected, to be honest, but shouldn't be too much of an issue. Yeah, as you can see in the purple pluses, +1, that's my energy regain from the Zealous enchantment on my daggers, which is kind of a nice improvement from where we left off last time, as energy is quite a lot of a problem on the assassin, especially when you're spamming dagger attacks so much. It's a recurring issue that you'll run into throughout your play. Ooh, that was a nice AoE. That's why this ability, this skill, Death Blossom, is actually such a good attack. When your enemies group, it makes your damage quite a lot better. So yeah, this mission is a little bit repetitive, as you just go to gates, wait for the gate to open, and then fight the enemies, proceed, and then rinse and repeat that. But it is good to kind of test yourself against more than one enemy at once, which you'll find is something that happens a lot throughout the game. Especially when you have a healer on your team, you can actually quite comfortably take on more than you might think you'd be able to. Especially grouped with this Mobius. Oh, so beautiful. But seeing that I have my Fire Imp through the Summoning Stone, the extra ally makes these groups quite easy to take on, because the fire spells that they use do AoE as well, so the grouping helps once more. Now I might be in a little bit of trouble here, but as long as we focus one person at a time, I think that's the best way to do it. As you'll see with the assassin, the attack chain needs to be completed on the same target. So if you were to use your lead attack, which is in my case Jagged Strike, on someone, and then have on one enemy, and then have your secondary offhand attack ready, you wouldn't actually be able to use that on another target. So it is an easy mistake to make, but it can actually waste a lot of your energy if you're trying to swap targets between attacks. So as long as you focus one enemy at a time, these early engagements during the campaign shouldn't be too difficult. Might as well take on these guys while we wait, as any experience at this point in the game is useful, because we're just trying to level up as fast as possible. And it's not the most XP, 34 XP per enemy, but if you press H and look at your experience bar, every little bit counts, because I just need 3,500 more XP to level 7. You'll find from doing these missions, I think most of them at the early point of the game are reliant on speed to get the mastery reward and the most XP. So if you can speed through a mission pretty quickly, you'll get the most XP out of it, which is very useful. This guy's our first boss of the game, and you see he's an afflicted... Ow, he actually hits pretty hard. The afflicted name will be reoccurring throughout this entire campaign, as it is the infection that I was talking about that's overtaken the land that you're out here to defeat. And as you can see, these guys are sickened, which is kind of like a precursor to the affliction. Oh, we're just rolling through these guys. It's nobody's business. There's some items that are worth picking up. The shields that have no requirement are pretty good. If you're looking for something maybe that you could sell off at a more popular town, but nothing at this point in the game will hold too much value unless you're... I can stand corrected there, because there are some areas on the first island of factions that do have actually very nice drops. Some of the shields are very nice. You can actually have a lot of money if you get lucky with a good requirement, etc. These little sickened animals aren't the most difficult to blow through, but if instead of going for every group you can just cut straight through and go on rather speedily, unless Master Togo decides to take them on. Yeah, he does, which is kind of annoying, but we should be able to take care of them. And you will find with these earlier missions that when your NPCs that you have to take care of start attacking groups, you are almost always better off just taking the groups on, as you rushing through will actually put your NPCs at risk of dying, which can make you have to start the mission all over, which is no fun. So always take care of your NPCs and make sure that they're not being left behind, because that would result in having to start all over, which is not fun. Now, I won't lie, I have died on this mission a fair amount of times in the past. These scribes can be pretty difficult. I may die right now. Just as I say that, hopefully I'll just get resurrected. It's our first death of the series, which is no good, but yeah, these the casters that come in these groups can actually be pretty powerful. They have hexes and AoE spells, so the servants are who you want to go for here. As I was saying in the last episode, taking on the casters is actually quite a wise thing to do at the start of the engagement, as they do quite a lot of damage, which is no fun. These melee enemies just pop frenzy, which actually makes them take more damage, so they're not the guys you have to worry about too much. Now here I'm going to go for the servant again. Oh, got two here, so I really got to take care of these guys as soon as I can. But I'm doing good AoE damage with my Death Blossom. And as your team starts to lose health, it's honestly a smart idea not to try and take on the next group until, as I've only got one healer, until that healer has healed up your party. So I'm going to go for the 7 again, and whoops, I messed up my attack chain. Oh my god. I'm going to die. Put my Shadow's Refuge on, and then go back for these boys here. Whew, I actually got a little bit worried there. Now this is the final room of the mission, where you meet Minister Cho. This is his whole estate. And you do get to witness the affliction here for the first time, and see the afflicted, which is interesting, as these are going to be the main enemy you face, yeah, throughout this campaign. It really just looks like he's a bit smelly and needs to take a shower, but it's a bit more than that, unfortunately. There he is. Now this guy isn't the most difficult. He's a level 11, but you have a fair few. Will I say that? And then I die, so... He hits pretty hard. But not the most difficult mission. It's still very doable as long as your whole team doesn't wipe, which I can't speak for other players, but it can happen. And that's it. Now we're in Ranmusu Gardens, and we have to proceed with the storyline here. At this point, I may, seeing that there's a merchant here, sell all these things in my inventory and talk a bit more about the kind of the goal that I'm thinking would be good with this series. So I was thinking that instead of trying to get to a certain point or kill certain bosses, so on and so forth. Instead of that, I can just play as I'd usually play and try and progress my character to what you could consider an endgame point, as in being able to take on endgame content and stuff like that. So having a strong party of heroes, having the right gear and right skills to take on things like farming, dungeons, so on and so forth. So with that being my goal, I feel like I'll be kind of fast tracking my way through the campaign and utilizing kind of my previous experience to be able to come up with the best and quickest way to get ahead and get into that late game stuff like dungeons, running, farming, etc. So yeah, I'm going to be buying some things here to improve my inventory space, because you saw just before I ran out. So from the merchant, with just the money that I'd earned from drops so far, I have enough to afford the belt pouch, the bag, and 2 runes of holding, which is very useful. The belt pouch can be expanded later in the game, but at the moment this is what we're working with. So we've got our bags, and then the runes of holding are just super valuable, because at the moment these are only 5 slots, and then if I put my rune of holding on the bags here, they're increased to 10. And as you progress throughout the game, there is the opportunity for the rune of superior holding, I believe, which makes it 10 15 slots, I believe. I could be wrong there, but that's always good to have. I did just put a few points in my dagger mastery. I mean, took a few points out of my other thing so I could level up my dagger mastery further, which just increases the damage of my main dagger abilities that I'm spamming a lot. And yeah, so for now we're just going to be progressing through the quest line to try and get to the second island, which is one thing I do like about Guild Wars 1, is that each campaign kind of has a beginner area where it's not too hard, but you get to learn the storyline as well as the general mechanics that you'll need to know along the game. And then this is not too long, it's pretty easily completable. Then as you zoom out on the map, you see this whole other area, which is such a larger area of maps, as it continues throughout this whole area here, and then goes down into the sea, and then here into the forest. So yeah, there's lots and lots of fun stuff ahead, and we've only done this much so far, which can be kind of daunting, but at the same time it's not too difficult, I suppose, to proceed throughout all of that at quite a good pace. Although when I do say that, the factions campaign itself doesn't supply too much in regards to making your character end game, late game, unless you're after certain elite armors or other things like that. But the campaign does provide the assassin class, which is probably one of the strongest classes. So in order to get to the late game potential, you have to proceed to the second island, where you can from there keep going further forward and like branching through the campaigns, through unlocking map travel to the different expansions, and then utilizing kind of what they have to offer, where Eye of the North and Nightfall offers lots of skills and dungeons, heroes, and then Nightfall furthermore more heroes. So those two campaigns are what really help you achieve the late game stuff. So kind of trying to get to the second island as quickly as you can is always an awesome thing. And I think these weapons should do me until then, but I may upgrade my armor before the second mission, because that one can prove somewhat difficult if you still have the starter armor. And the armor that they do offer you at the start of the game, of course, is only going to get better, but some people view buying the mid-range armor early a waste, which I wouldn't necessarily disagree or agree with, but I think it can help you just slide through the early game a little bit easier, running into less challenges, which, as you saw in the last mission, me dying twice, there can be some challenges. Now here we're just going to be following this little quest, starting to get the Tengu on our side, which is a fun part of the storyline. And your first experience with an afflicted creature outside of that mission there, just in the open, where we have to go and destroy it. So I'm going to shadow step to it. The aesthetic of these characters are very cool in my opinion. And that is one thing you shall learn as well, that those afflicted can prove somewhat difficult to kill, but as you kill them, they actually explode and do extra damage to you, so you have to be a little bit more careful considering that. And that damage does persist throughout the whole game. I'm not sure if it increases or not, but as my character has quite low health because of its level at the moment, that can actually feel like a lot. Now, so we're done here, and from memory, it wants us to go through into this Panjiang Peninsula, which is actually quite a far trek, but if you just go to Sume Village, there's actually a portal that will take you out and right into Panjiang Peninsula, which, yeah, and from memory, the quest wants you to end up around here somewhere. So, using your kind of intuition and map travel, you can actually progress through these things quite quickly instead of having to run around all these explorable areas for quite a long time. So we'll see if I was correct in what I was saying, but yeah, it's right here. So yeah, just little things like that can help you go a lot more quickly. And yes, this area, so nostalgic. The beautiful hills and the fog in the distance. I can't quite remember what they want me to do here. We'll have to wait and see. This could be where I have to fight a bunch of people off. The kind of intruders. So I want to be going for the higher level ones first, if possible. So there's the Sicken guards, the casters. So I'm just going to shadow step in and just... Whoops, that's the wrong ability. And obviously the more grouped targets... Ooh, this isn't going too well. I'm gonna heal here. Now I do have a few allies, which is lucky, because if I didn't have them, I'd probably be dead right now. Spirits are annoying. But yeah. Being able to cycle through your enemies with the hotkeys, as I said in the past, is actually really useful. So I use Q, and it goes through all your nearby enemies, which can be quite useful. And later in the game, as you progress into like speed running or running, you'll encounter some skills that allow you to teleport to allies. So having a toggle through allies as well is actually really useful. So you can find the closest ally to you and shadow step to them with certain abilities. So we're just going to be heading back down here. The first bit of progression is actually probably the slowest, in my opinion, in factions, going through the early missions, as you don't really have the opportunity just to skip it. You actually have to go through everything in order, which can be a little bit annoying, but it's not the worst thing. As I'm in a explorable area, I can't actually take any points out of my other stuff, so I'm just going to slap points into all my other attributes. And now I will be progressing to the next area where I can upgrade my armor, which is fun. This whole game just gives me so much nostalgia. it's just like, it was just the other day when I was doing this for the first time, and it still gives me the exact same feeling, which I just love. Also, binding a key to automatically run is super useful. I've got mine bound to R, so I don't actually always need to click or hold W. I just press R and my character just makes its merry way by itself. You can also utilize just like selecting a target and pressing spacebar or whatever your attack hotkey is to just run towards them. So yeah, these are just little useful quality of life things that can make your gameplay just a little bit more easy. Obviously not necessary, but it could just be a force of habit that I do it. So yeah, the first island of the Factions campaign leads towards getting to Caning Center, which is where max level enemies are, max armor. You can start to capture elite skills, which is really fun. But once you get there, you get as I said, the ability to travel to the different campaigns and unlock things that they might offer that the Factions campaign doesn't. So it's super useful to kind of use what you have at your disposal. I can go from Caning Center to Eye of the North, get heroes, and then bring them back to Factions to help me, which is very nice, very helpful. As well as going to the Great Temple of Balthazar as well, which is the PvP area. As it's not something that everybody has the ability to utilize, but I've got lots of mercenary heroes on my account which is actually a pretty cool system where you can take your characters and enlist them as NPCs to use on your other characters, which is, in my opinion, really awesome. Although there is some things that make them worse than the other heroes, as like they don't come with weapons, you have to gear them all, but yeah, it's probably more useful just because you can have specific professions that may lead towards the more kind of meta, more used, stronger team comps that you are going to be using throughout the rest of the game when you get to the late game content. So getting them the earlier you can will just speed you up. Kind of like an exponential growth per se. And we're here, Setwing Harbour. This is one of my favorite areas in the game, as I was talking about before, with the feather farming and the gyre bluffs. Also, there's quests here that allow you to unlock more attribute points, which I'll talk about a bit later. So they're really useful to do. And this is where I may cop some new threads from these armor guys. Now, it's not max, being I believe 80 for assassins, but 55 is a great improvement from what I've currently got for 10 armor. So I will see what I have in my chest. Where's my chest? And see if I have any materials that I can use to just quickly buy some armor. There is a rune trader here as well, but I don't think I really need to worry about that for now. To rune my armor. Oh, I haven't unlocked the material storage yet. I should probably do that. And unlike other NPCs, you can actually use your storage interface while not having to be in talking distance to the NPC. So I can keep my vault box window open, still use it while talking to another NPC. But if I were to walk away from this guy, I wouldn't be able to buy anything. I'd have to go back to him. So let's see. What things do we have actually available here. There's the Canthan. Canthan, Setwing, or Xingje, which is what I've got already. My favorite out of those is probably between the Canthan. Let's go for that. Do I have any cloth? Oh no. Let me take out some gold and find a material trader and then just buy. How much cloth do I need? Like 50? So I have to go back over here to this dude, buy some materials and then just head on back. Just gonna buy my bolts of cloth and then go back and craft this armor. Let's do it. I do have some white dye in here as well. One thing when I returned to this game that kind of just confused me was the fact that black dye is now like it's you can't buy it anymore, which is kind of disappointing. But it's sort of gate kept by the players, which is a bit weird. I'm going to be going for the Dagger Mastery +1 on the mask, which is pretty useful at this point in the game. And that's that. I will be dyeing this, but I don't think there's a need to. Rune it at the moment because I will be moving on from this armor as soon as I get to the second island and have the max armor available. I'm not sure if the scarf goes with this too well, so I might have to hide it and then just dye this white. Yeah, look at me go. I'm moving up in the world. Put this back because I can't. These are still somewhat desirable, I think. Oh, only one plat, so it's not too big of a price, but I like to hold on to them just to have them in case. Put this back, and then I can just throw out my starter armor. So yeah, even just from the start of the episode, my character has improved quite a lot. With the new daggers, new armor, we're going to be feeling a lot better now. And this zone actually allows you to increase the size of your party, so I can bring more people. I'll pick up the Spirit Henchman because I believe he may have some more healing. And then we already have the Shock, so it's between the Archer and the Assassin. I'll probably go for the Assassin. And onwards and upwards. Now I am guilty of playing this game as kind of like people in RuneScape call it fashionscape, but I just love the armors in this game, and usually just play to try and get my character to the nicest armor in the game, just so it looks nice, and then I'm satisfied. That probably will be a part of this series somewhat, but there will be more in regards to kind of being able to take on more of the late game content, such as dungeons and running. To be able to afford all that stuff for the newer players, you need to have some form of income, which there is a lot of potential on Assassins, as they can do a lot that you can make money from. These guys are level 15, so they're actually quite good opponents. It takes a team of 7 people still a little while to kill them. And as I was saying before, when your party aggroes a random group, you're often better just killing the group before you move on, as some of the AI will lag behind and stay with that enemy, possibly dying, because the rest of your AI will leave. So yeah, you just have to keep in mind of your compass, seeing where the enemies are, and seeing if your parties, which are the green dots on the compass, lag behind. One other also useful technique for an assassin and any kind of profession that does AoE damage is to group your enemies where you can head in first and aggro the majority of the enemies, as well as positioning them in a way that you can attack all of them at once. It's a bit more of an advanced kind of technique and might be a little bit confusing to some newer players, but you can actually lure groups, take their aggro, and then use parts of the map, as in like things that will block people off, to your advantage and block enemies between yourself and a part of the map, so you can actually attack all of them at once, do AoE damage, etc. I don't know why that's doing 0 damage to me, but I won't complain. So I'll probably just tune back in once we've done these this quest and I'm able to move on to the next area, as these can be a little bit boring, these in-between quests. If anything interesting happens, I will be sure to let you guys know, but for now I think I'm just going to tune back in when I have completed this little side quest. Well, I thought I'd just make a quick note of, while you're running, you actually can avoid lots of groups if you just keep them outside of your aggro range. It's pretty useful if you're traveling between areas. We just spawned an Oni. Just to make your trip a little bit quicker and not having to take any unnecessary fights, which can just either be risky for your party or just take a bit to make your journey like a bit longer than it needs to be. So yeah, if you're just cautious of where your aggro is on your minimap, you can usually just head through. Looks like these boys up here are aggroed to my party, so that's kind of annoying. Might just run past them. My henchman just went and it's just what I was saying. My henchman just decided to go and aggro a bunch of other groups, which is always fun. But yeah, if you hug walls, avoid aggression from other enemies, you can actually speed through all this quite fast. With my new armor and my new weapons now, I'm actually doing decent damage, so these groups aren't the most threatening, as I kind of just power through them. But still, it can be a bit annoying to have to fight these groups because they run at you, the henchman AI will run at them. Yeah. And these are the enemies that I was talking about previously for feather farming, where I got these daggers from. So there is some merit to killing these enemies, because there is a chance of them dropping gold items or other useful materials, etc. But just on a general run through, it's not the biggest point. And with the max level being 20 in this game, I've only done one mission and proceeded through a few general quests, and I'm already at level 8, almost level 9. So the progression is quite fast. You will reach max level within maybe probably 2 to 3 hours of creating a character, which is something I always really enjoyed about Guild Wars, because I feel like other MMOs, it can take you so much time to reach max level. But yeah, Guild Wars offers you the opportunity just to get your character max level and then do whatever the hell you like, which is awesome in my opinion. I may even reach the next level just by killing these enemies on my way to the next zone. Especially when they group up for me so I can get good AoE. Look at that. It's just beautiful. I'm sure any Guild Wars player will tell you the same, that seeing nice big yellow numbers is so satisfying. Some classes are better than others, but perhaps when I get my first heroes, I can equip them with spells that will make me do more AoE damage, which is always fun. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see which direction I choose to go with that. And I'm just going to run past these last guys into the next zone because I can't be bothered fighting them. And here we are. We're nearly there with these kind of monotonous quests on the first island, and we're going to get into the good stuff shortly, so thanks for sticking with me through these times. I know it can be a bit slow, but yeah, we're almost there on the final stretch. I hate these ranges because they give you blindness to throw dirt. And look at that, we level up. It's easy. Avoid those guys, spend some more of my... actually I don't really need to at the moment. I am almost at rank 9 dagger mastery, so I can use max daggers, which will actually be fun. I might equip some before the next mission, because the requirement 9 dagger mastery is all you need for good, either unique, being the green ones, or gold. Or the... what is it just rare for the gold ones? Gold items, but yeah, it's all you need for max damage, so we're going well. Forgot to spawn my imp, which will make this all go a bit easier. Now, with regards to consumables in Guild Wars, they have introduced lots of consumable items that you can buy or earn through drops, craft them, etc. in order to improve your character's like damage, health, armor, etc. So I think I shall use some coming shortly, just with these next missions, to kind of boost me through a little bit. It won't be anything too hectic. Maybe a few extra armor here or there, but it should be useful to allow me to get to the good stuff more quickly. From memory, this little mini mission here is pretty fun. Can be pretty challenging. Quite a few enemies come from all directions, but your best bet is just to choose one group and go to town, really. It seems like only one or two at the start, but quickly, as you'll see, it turns into quite a big group. Quite a lot of large groups come, and you have to protect your NPCs. So yeah, I'm gonna get this group here, and then come straight back down to here, because there's quite a few coming, and just protect the immediate NPCs. And this is our first encounter with an elite ability on an enemy as well, I believe. There is a boss that arrives at some point here that uses... Ooh. I could not tell you the ability, but I remember there is an elite, which at this point in the game actually is something to note, because it can be pretty challenging to overcome. Ah, there he is. I'll start working on him. He is level 16, which I probably won't be able to kill by myself. Easy work. It didn't seem that he used an elite, but I could be wrong here. I did think he had one. And then that's that quest done. Go and talk to Sue and proceed. And now we're on our way to the next mission, the second mission, which is a short walk away. And probably where we'll leave off this episode. In the next episode, that mission will be swept over, and we'll continue on to, as I was saying, the second island of the game, where I can proceed swiftly to the end game content, which is lots of fun. Finally be done with this monotonous early game gameplay, and onto the good stuff, which I am actually very keen to show, as there is some ways you can just completely rifle through it and get into the stuff that you really want to be doing with your characters. These guys should just take a little while to knock over. Although the blindness is such a detriment to me as a melee character, because it just makes me be able to do no damage. And I feel like I am doing a lot of damage myself. So I just have to rely on the boys to take care of it. So yeah, let me know if there's anything, if there's any certain path, power leveling, if you'd like to see. Just really anything that you have a query about that I may have already done or could be doing in the future. I think the progress so far has been pretty good. I have died twice, but I'm not too bothered about that. You can go through undying and achieve a title, but down the line, in the big scheme of things, dying in this game isn't the worst thing on the planet. Oh, back with our boy, Master Togo. To Zen Daijun. And yeah, this is where I'll be leaving off this episode. Thank you for watching, guys. And we're gonna proceed into the Zen Daijun, the next mission, and get closer to our goal. Sweet. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.